On today's episode, we are going to test this stator, try to clean it up, and then retest it. The first test that I want to run is checking the resistance between these leads and the ground here. Turn this to ohms. I'm going to do the yellow lead first. It's supposed to be checked between the lead and the ground. Now this is not in the bike, so that might be giving us a bad reading. Oh, there we go. And it's back to open line. But if I move the lead around, it's jumping, which might just indicate that the amount of rust is not giving a good connection and a good reading. I just wanted to test this before I cleaned it up to kind of get an idea of before and after. It's jumping all over. Let's test the blue and yellow. Okay, that is showing resistance, which is not good. But this might also change. Let's move on to another test. The next test that I want to run is continuity between the circuits. We have the alternator. The two circuits are the white and the yellow, the blue and red, and blue and yellow. White and yellow are the charging circuit, and that is the first one we're going to test. But just to make it easy for me, because I'm visual and this is kind of dense, I like to break it down. And they actually have done that too. This is the first circuit that we want to test. It's the charging circuit, you have the alternator. I like to bust out the colored pencils. I'm using the dashes as a white line. Obviously this is the alternator. But then whenever they call for a certain line, it just makes it easier to see. And so this just helps me really break it down and really kind of see what's going on. So now we're going to test this circuit here between the white and yellow. I had to wipe these down, but this is yellow, this is white. And then the ignition circuit is the blue and yellow and black and red. So first, let's check the continuity with the charging. So let me just turn on the continuity, and the easiest way to test, obviously, is just so. Doesn't matter which one. Plug that in. We have continuity. What I like to do is, when you've got continuity, just flex the wires and see if that changes anything, because it might have a good connection until the wires start moving. But we have continuity, so that circuit is good. And with this, it's pretty easy to see how the white and yellow would have continuity. They each share a coil. Let's test the ignition circuit. Right now, I am not hearing any beep, which might mean there's a break somewhere in here, which with all this rust, there might be something in here that's broken. Let's check the wiring diagram. Black and red is hooked up to the exciter coil, and the blue and yellow is on a different coil. They are both then grounded into the frame, so perhaps checking continuity between the frame and one of the leads will give us some information. Got that. We'll just go the black and red. That's shoved in there. So, again, with this amount of rust and build up, might not be able to get a good reading anyways. Right now, between the black and red, I am not getting any beeps. Oh, there we go. The black and red wire actually comes in here. So, that's there. So, if nothing else, we have continuity from here to the wire and the wire coming in here. The last thing I want to check before I start trying to remove this and get this cleaned up is I want to go back to ohms again, which is the horseshoe looking thing. So we're going to start with the charging circuit, which is the yellow and white. We're going to check the resistance in those wires. And we know that these wires have continuity. Okay, I think I've got a good connection. We got 0.2. Let's check continuity in the ignition circuit. And again, we get 0.2. So there is resistance in the ignition, and it matches the resistance in the charging circuit. Next, I want to look at cleaning this up. The best would be to remove this whole system, take this out, because obviously everything needs to be cleaned. But first, I kind of want to look at some of the products that have been recommended for cleaning this. The brake cleaner is really toxic. It could eat away at these parts. It's made for taking off oil, grease, so it would help clean it, but this is not good for cleaning the electronics. It does seem to be everybody's go-to for cleaning, but for this situation, this is not going to work. And for similar reasons, the carb cleaner is going to be out. I just don't know enough about all the chemicals to trust all of this fine detail, the wires, just what it might do, what it might eat away. Rubbing alcohol is not bad because it evaporates really quick. It's the 91 proof. This I might play with, and WD-40, I may use this at the end once everything's clean to make sure the rust doesn't come back. The product that I'm definitely going to start with, and this is not a commercial for them, it just makes sense to get the right tool for the job. This stuff is designed for cleaning parts. It evaporates really quickly, and it's been designed to work on this. Yes, buying yet another can of cleaning products might seem like a pain in the butt if you're not going to use it that often. I went on Treat's website, which is a company that sells a lot of moped parts, and a brand new one of these OEM official is $230. You can get these parts on eBay for $50 to $60. This can cost me $10. So yes, it is another thing to buy, it is another thing to add, but it does not cost $230 or $50 to $60. And if this just needs to be given a deep clean and it still works, then I can put that money towards something else. For this next part, I'm stepping outside because I don't want to spray. I'm going to use this, and I'm going to use this. Hopefully this will loosen up the bolts that I want to take off. I'm also going to clean. This is just a soft bristle brush, and this is a soft brush, just a nail. And you got to clean up your nails. And then I'm just going to focus on these two bolts, the WD-40. I want to dry it a little bit. So I'm just going to use a hair dryer. And for everybody's sake, I am going to turn off sound. It's been scrubbed down and it's starting to look better. But there's still a lot of buildup in here, and I don't know what is underneath this stuff. So I think the next step is to try to get this whole thing lifted out. That's not right. Always helps if you put... What am I doing? Always helps if you have your tools set up and ready to go. Alright, the next step is to take these both off. Hopefully these bolts are not seized in place. It is right next to these delicate wires. And so is this one. Yeah, they're definitely rusted in. I have thought about using just a small butane torch. So if I put a torch on here, it might be small enough, but it also might heat up everything else and cause damage. There we go. What I'm going to focus on next is taking off these screws. What makes me nervous is these little wires. I don't know how much slack they have. No, I think I'm just going to end up stripping that screw. Yeah, those screws are definitely in there tight. I don't want to strip them. These screws are very soft and they're very seized. Like this one just started stripping, so I stopped. So removing this entire thing seems pretty dangerous. So I think the new plan is to clean as much of this as I can, but this is easily 50 to 60 bucks just to replace this stuff, but I'm not sure how to get this stuff apart right now, and I do not want to drop $230 on a new one of these. Let's just do a couple continuity tests and see where we're at. First, I'm going to check the charging circuit. I also want to check and see if there's continuity between this wire and the frame. Let's see if the white reacts the same way. Let's see what happens with the ignition circuit. No continuity there. So now I'm going to test these wires against the frame. Okay, the black and red is not beeping. It's blue and yellow is. Okay. The black and red has its own coil, and then that coil is grounded. Blue and yellow goes through a different, and that should be grounded. So they both should have continuity with the ground. Let me try that again. Okay. Okay. This black and red it's not beeping. blue and yellow is beeping. Okay, this time we are going to check the ohms again. Still sitting at 0.2, and then I'm going to check this circuit. There, they have good contact. Still sitting at 0.2. I'm going to look into the continuity here, try to figure out what is going on there. I have not started a map like this with the colored wires yet. I think that's my next step. That is going to wrap it up for today. The stator is definitely a lot cleaner. It is hitting continuity and it does have ohms. I'm going to continue to draw out the different circuits just to make it easier to see. If you like this video, please hit like and let's go explore.